Everybody in the engineering industry is talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. But what will it really take for a firm to become more diverse and inclusive? Well, in this week's Engineering Management Lessons video, I am lucky to be joined by Matthew Alboum. Matthew is a licensed professional engineer who has transitioned into human resources for Dewberry. And Matt, you have some thoughts on this, right? What will it really take for firms to become more diverse and more inclusive in the engineering world?
It's a good question, and it's a challenging topic. I think that, like you said, a lot of companies are struggling with it. And being relatively new to HR and getting to kind of get more involved in this now, I think what I've observed is the key is really going to be people's willingness to be vulnerable, to come into the conversation and acknowledge, I don't know what I don't know. And both sides need to recognize that, right? So what I mean by that is, I think what starts to happen is people get nervous, and instead of saying anything, they say nothing. And by not saying anything, that sends a message. So what we need to do is we need to get to the point where people feel comfortable saying something. And if they say something that offends somebody or that's wrong, as long as it's not malintentioned, that the other person can provide that feedback and say, listen, the other day you made a comment and it really offended me. You didn't use the right pronoun, whatever it is. And the person needs to be able to be vulnerable and receive that feedback. No, I am so sorry. That was not my intent. I would never mean to offend you. This is a learning experience for me. I really appreciate you providing that feedback. And moving forward, I'm going to be really cognizant and aware of how I say that or do that. And that's the key, right? Because if not, then if it becomes more adversarial, then, people are going to get defensive. They're going to stop talking. They're going to stop sharing. And that completely defeats the whole purpose of DEI to begin with. The idea is to get ideas out into the world, to be more understanding, to really start to understand each other and understand what we need to do to make everybody feel safe and comfortable in their work environment. So I think it's going to be hard. It's not easy. There's no, if it was easy, everyone would do it, right? There is no easy button here. We have to be willing to be vulnerable and kind of learn together.
So like your thought process on this from how, let's say HR, since now you've transitioned to HR, from how HR, even leadership in a company can help with this, it sounds like the way that they can help is to try to expose this topic more and make it something that's more comfortable for people to talk about on a regular basis. Is that what you would say needs to be done?
Absolutely. Right. Like when you go, be willing to bring it up, obviously, but then also frame it in a way that you're open to the feedback, right? So say things like, I'm learning here. A lot of times we see these leaders and we think they're, invincible. They could do anything. Admitting to, support to their reports or to people in the organization that, listen, if I say something wrong, tell me. I want to learn. I want to grow here. I know I don't know everything. I know I have a very singular perspective because that's my life. I've come up a certain way. I have certain experiences, and yours may be different. I didn't walk in your shoes. And the only way I'm going to really learn and understand your perspectives and your experiences is if you A, share them with me, and B, if I say something wrong, you'll educate me on your perspective on that. And, I think the act of opening up to people and telling others that they can correct you or they can share with you is going to start to facilitate that level of comfort that is needed to break some of these barriers down. You need to feel comfortable. You need to be willing to share and not go into, like I said, that adversarial position where you think immediately somebody did something intentionally or that they didn't say something intentionally. So I think it's just about being open, being vulnerable, and being willing to learn and listen.
So I hope you enjoyed Matt's thoughts on this. This is a real issue in our industry. Firms need to become as diverse and inclusive as they can because it benefits all parties. But not a lot of people know how to do it. So I hope that Matt's advice is helpful. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel here. We do put out videos like this on a weekly basis to help engineers become better managers and leaders. I'll see you next week.